Hey, greetings everyone. It is been probably about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since I've last done one of these. Uh, but as you can obviously tell, it's Lines on the Page, episode 32, in which we are going to be creating an original fantasy character. And I am your host, Thomas Price. And before I can continue on with anything else, we have to do some really quick shopkeeping stuff. Haven Comics is located at 1871 Slaughter Road in Madison. And if you happen to like this video, any other video that we do, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're wondering where you can find me on social media, just type in at tpriceartworks, and that is where you can find me. So, creating a brand new character, and this happens for a couple different reasons. Either you're wanting to start a whole new story, so you want to come up with your own characters, obviously within a fantasy setting, and you're stumped because for some reason you keep on creating the same old character. Now, obviously, you can have a lot of different pieces for inspiration. It could be your D&D player's handbook, or possibly you're a Pathfinder person and you're also using a core rule book for your stuff, or maybe you don't even play that stuff, and maybe you just want to create a whole new character for your Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, or whatever thing that you're doing. But again, you've been kind of stopping yourself because you're creating the same character every single time, and you want to venture out and do something different. So, in order to, I guess, combat against that, I'm actually drawing some inspiration from a book that I picked up a couple years back, probably about maybe 2017, 2018, called The Manga Matrix. And basically, what this book is that it does a grid system, basically. Kind of similar to like a Punnett square. And the whole premise of this is basically creating unique characters using this system. And of course, despite the title of it, it does not primarily have to deal with just manga. It could be done in any sort of comic format, or if you want to do it within a fantasy setting, you can definitely do that as well. But just to give you some idea of, I guess, what it looks like, if I can find the example, so it's near the beginning of the page. So basically, they would do kind of like a Punnett square kind of thing, which if you don't remember the Punnett square, then you probably weren't paying attention to like middle school or high school biology. But that's the thing where you figure out basically the possible genetics of something. So kind of a similar idea with this. They would have on the top uh, one section of things, and then right here another section of things. So this is a great book as far as just trying to get you out of the slump. So taking a similar idea revolving around this, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit different. So instead of a Punnett square, I'm going to be using dice. So I'm going to be using a D4, a D6, which is probably the most common dice you'll ever have, a D8, and a D10. And I've actually come up with a couple of things because we're going to be doing this sketch digitally. So I came up with a couple different things right here, and we're going to be figuring out how we're going to create this character. Now, I could have gone super duper in depth with this, but the problem is that if I did it in that kind of way, then we're actually just creating a character sheet. We're not actually drawing a character. So I had to nix a bunch of stuff and try to get down to, I guess, nitty gritty, bare bones basics. And we're going to try to get this thing together. And yeah, so with the dice roll, we're going to figure out how we're going to put this whole thing together. So we're going to start this off. So with a D6, we're going to figure out if we're going to be drawing a dude or a lady dude. And let's see. Evens makes that a lady dude. So we're going to mark that just to make sure I remember. And then we're going to figure out The alignment of our character, basically whether they're good or if they're evil. So odds are good, evens are evil. And it looks like they're a good person. So we might give them a smile on their face. All right. Now we're going to be doing D8, and we're going to figure out what kind of race is our character going to be that we're creating. So we've got halfling, dwarf, goblin, elf, human, tiefling, half orc, or dragonborn. That kind of flew off in the corner. We'll try this again. All right. 3. Oh my God. We're drawing a goblin. Oh, good Lord. And now we're going to figure out the age with a D4. And it's either going to be young, middle-aged, old, or an ageless ancient. We got a good goblin who's an ageless ancient. Oh my God, this is going to be the most interesting character I will ever draw. Classes. Okay. This is where it's going to get a little bit interesting, but I'm going to skip down that real quick, and I want to get to the hair. So basically, we got long hair, which is basically all the way down the back, medium, which is hair down to basically the shoulders, short hair, which would be, clean cut or a pixie cut, and then bald, no hair whatsoever. And our goblin has short hair. Oh my Lord. All right. So what kind of class? All right. So we've got a druid, a cleric, a bard, a rogue, a barbarian, a ranger, a wizard. And if we get wizard, then we have to roll another time for a subclass of wizard. Monk, paladin, or an alchemist. 6, and they are a ranger. Okay. All right. So, because I've got this female goblin, probably a chaotic good, if I had to guess, or neutral, that is ageless, short hair. They're a ranger. And we're basically going to be rolling this D6 right here, and we're going to choose whether or not if they're going to have martial weapons or if they're going to have a ranged weapon. So martial weapons would be like axes, swords, mallet type weapons, or an uncommon weapon. And then ranged weapons would be short bows or just any kind of bow, basically, including crossbows. So odds, it's martial, or evens, it's going to be a ranged weapon. And it's going to be martial weapons. All right. And let's see, with the D4, we're going to figure out what kind of martial weapon we're going to get. And it's an uncommon martial weapon. That's going to be interesting. All right. And then we got to roll again to see if we've got a rapier, which is basically a really thin bladed sword, a falchion, which is basically kind of like a scimitar, just really thick curved blade, a whip, or a guitar. And a guitar is basically it looks like a gauntlet, but it's got a knife edge thing to it. So what do we got? And it's a rapier. Okay. All right. So we got all the stuff regarding this character. Oh my gosh. This is going to be nuts. So Of all the things I gotta draw a goblin. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um. All right. So I'm going to leave it to the chat. If you want me to draw a, you know, like a more Harry Potterish kind of goblin, let me know. If you want me to do more of actually, you know what? I'm just going to let the dice roll figure this one out. All right. So odds and evens. All right. So yeah, thanks for asking, Jay. No, I'm not okay. This is going to be the most insane character I'm going to have to draw today. All right. All right, so odds, we're going to be drawing a goblin that's going to look kind of similar to the goblins from well, okay, so the problem is that if we had gotten to uh, a different kind of weapon set, um, where is it? Yeah, so blunderbusses would be only for the alchemists class, so that would be the only way out of it. So unfortunately, no blunderbusses. Sorry about that, Alan. All right, so for our goblin, if I'm going to have how I'm going to have to draw our female goblin. Um, so odds, they're going to look like the goblins that you would see from like Harry Potter, the ones in Gringotts Bank, or evens, they're going to be a green skin. So this is going to be interesting. It's a green skin. All right. Now I've got to write all this down. Meaning green. That's what I mean by green skin. And they're ageless, which is going to be the funniest part about all of this. So they're practically, like the ancient one from, as far as just like they have no age whatsoever. Uh, it's completely undetermined. So I'm going to have to write all this down. Okay. Okay, pencil. All right. So we've got. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say all smooth and androgynous because with the character being ageless, I mean, we're talking about a being that's thousands of years old. So I mean, I'm not saying that they couldn't have crow's feet, but at the same time, we're also talking about goblins. So I mean, trying to figure out the age of all that would be weird unless you've written a specific lore regarding it, and everyone writes them differently than the next person. So in this case, this is just going to be all around weird and interesting, and we're going to go for it. All right, so let me write this down real quick. We've got a all right. Goblin, female, short hair, ageless, and what kind of? Okay, probably going to be a chaotic good ranger. Well, yes, but the thing is that he's not a green skin, and that's what we ended up rolling. So, or else, yes, I would. But the problem is with him being the Goblin King, he doesn't really look like a goblin. He really looks more like an elf. And in the same, if we're looking at it from a different aspect, if you look at Marvel, Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, obviously does not look like a goblin. Uh, because I mean, she really is a clone of Jean Grey. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't read a storyline from about 40 something years ago. Um, all right, what else was I missing? Yeah, short hair. Oh, green skin, right. Okay, so now that we've kind of established all that down there, we are just going to get straight to it. Mentally, I'm trying to process all of this. Yeah. So I'm saying greenskin because that's a terminology that's usually used for goblins and orcs. Um, that's the only reason why I say it. And I mean, yes, if you want to do D&D fifth edition, you could. Which I don't know if goblins are a playable race in D&D. I know they are in Pathfinder, um, but I know half orcs are playable in. Actually, you know what? I've got the book right here. I'm going to look. Unless it's like an advanced classes and races book, which currently don't have one here in the store. No, so at least with the fifth edition player's handbook, the only races available are dwarfs, elves, halflings, humans, dragonborns, gnomes, half elves, half orcs, and tieflings or tieflings, however you pronounce it. Um, so yeah, unless it's like an advanced whatever, then probably is. Tots, yes, you just missed the rolls. So we are going to be drawing a female goblin, greenskin goblin with short hair. They have no age because they're practically an ageless ancient. Chaotic good ranger with a rapier. So yeah, that's what we're about to draw. Justin Butler, hey, what's up? Tattoo. Um, I don't know. Um, I really did not get that in depth with it. So all I did was just, sex alignment, race, age, hair, classes, and then only the wizard classes had an extra role for a subclass, and then the weapon stuff that would go for specific classes. Because if we got Bard, then I would have had to roll for specific instruments. So, like flutes, guitar, xylophone, harp, trumpet, and a tuba. And let me tell you, I would have loved to draw a Bard with a tuba. All right. So, back to our goblin. All right. This is going to be interesting. All right. So we're going to be doing a quick undersketch for our short friend. And actually, I want to switch up the stance just a bit. Whoops. I don't mean to do that. All right. All right. So think. I want to put the. Let's see. He's a ranger. Well, sorry, she's a ranger and has a rapier. So I'm wondering if I should include a buckler or not, because that would be the only size shield that such a small creature would be able to have. So, uh, chat, sound off. Do you want to give our little greenskin goblin a buckler or just the sword? Or should we let the dice roll decide? All right, so we got Justin says buckler, but we've also got someone saying dice. All right, it's 50-50 right now. I mean, not all. Um, I mean, yeah. I mean, technically, Aragon, or AKA Strider, is a ranger, and he was on a pirate ship with a bunch of ghosts. So, I mean, it's possible. Okay, so it looks like it's 2 for 1, or 2 against 1 right now with dice. So, how many people are watching right now? 3. Okay, so all right, dice it is. D6 odds. Have to have a buckler. Evens, no buckler. And it's odds. We got a buckler. All right. All right. Gosh, I'm gonna have to. GG dice. And you know what? I'm actually kind of curious about something because I want to look at how they. And ironically enough, there's actually a goblin on the back of the Pathfinder rule book. Okay. All right. So, zoom in real quick. All right. And drop that back down. And here we go. It's one of my favorite things about old school manuals when it comes to either D&D or Warhammer was always the black and white, almost charcoal looking drawings that they would have, and that has always, I guess, put a bit more of an impact on me when it comes to players handbooks or monster manuals or whatever. Um, and it's no offense to guys like Wayne Reynolds who are doing these fantastic full on painted pieces. Um, they look great. They really do. And guys like him and Quentin Hooper, uh, Mark A. Nelson. If you've never had the chance to actually go and meet him, you definitely should take the time to go and meet that guy. Richard Witters is another person. Andrew Marr, I believe, is still doing stuff for Magic the Gathering. But yeah, just a lot of people. That have put out impressive pieces of works over the years. And I've actually known people that have never once played a single game of D&D or Magic the Gathering or Pathfinder or whatever, but they will collect the books or supplement material because they enjoy the art, and I don't blame them. They really are fantastic. Let's see. Let's go ahead and give our goblin multiple piercings. Figure it being a ranger, he would at least have maybe a bone earring. So, still keeping within the spirit of all this, probably just going to be doing probably some sort of quick uh, you know grayscale wash of some sort, and trying to keep this as much as I possibly can in black and white. And let's see here. Let's put a small arm guard right there, because that would never work on the sword hand. And we'll just say that the sheath of the rapier is probably going to be back behind her. And I like my goblins to have 3 fingers and a thumb. Just give it that, not really so much the fantasy vibe, but definitely it's more of a cartoony vibe. Now, bucklers come in, a couple different ways, but I've always preferred the more I it's, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an English looking buckler, but the ones that I have seen have a half metal sphere in the middle, and which is kind of interesting compared to like a smaller shield. Um, that that bulb uh, will kind of, depending on how you're able to deflect a shot, will you know definitely deflect it a little bit more because it's such a round surface versus a flat surface. So if a sword or a small axe, would be trying to land its way towards you, it could go off in 1,000 different directions. But so with this, character, I'm just going to assume that it being a ranger, more likely is wearing some sort of leather vest with some padding. Rangers always having to keep themselves on the move. So we're only going to have just this arm area being the extra padding. And I'm going to keep this right here, and then I'm going to have open slot right here with uh, this armor. And we'll just have the knot right here. All right. Um, and we'll just say for kicks and giggles, probably would have some sort of belt with like a small dagger or something like that added into it. So Have that right there. Small blade. But, not the typical, it's something a little bit more, someone was probably made by a goblin. So, have this angled down just a little bit more. Kind of go for the asymmetrical look. Because why not? All right, so because we've got a giant belt buckle right here, I am leaving it to the chats. Whoops. As far as what we're going to do with the belt buckle. So, if you have any ideas as to what we want to do for this giant belt buckle right here, drop your idea in the chat. All right, so I want to have our female goblin have kind of a leather pants situation. And I would assume, with it being a ranger, and also with it being a goblin, that I don't know. I mean, could give them boots. Could not have her have boots, and just have her have really calloused feet. Um, oh my God, Alan! Like the dancing skull logo. That's awesome. That is a very good idea. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and some boots with the fur. Everybody was looking at her. She hit the floor. Okay, I'll stop. Um, All right, so we're going to pull off the Danzig skull logo to a degree on this belt buckle. All right, and just to double check and make sure. All right. Okay. That. And that's right there. All right. Whoops. All right. So we're going to do this number. Just straighten it out just a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can find a particular pommel and guard design, because the tang, which is right here on a rapier, is, for the most part, pretty basic, until you start adding in extra pieces of metal that just kind of take over right here. Um, a more normal pommel like this will definitely work. It's basically just the guard and what kind of design I want to go with this. And let's see. What is this? This looks cool. Interesting. Okay. So it almost kind of looks like a shell. Judging by the look of it. And actually, you know what? Don't see why not. I'm gonna get rid of this. So let's give her a septum piercing. All right, so let's back out of this just real quick. Dwayne, hello. Fancy attachments, you mean the swirly thin bits? Yeah, so sometimes, especially when you start dealing with with French rapiers, especially Three Musketeers, perfect example. And it's not just because like, well, every musketeer has a different one, meant for them. But sometimes whenever you're looking at uh, the guard, the tang is basically where the handle of the sword meets with the blade. Um, if you ever get a chance to watch Forged by Fire, uh, every now and then they will refer to the specific parts of a bladed instrument. And it's almost kind of like learning, basic anatomy. Each name has a specific purpose and kind of has like a dual function thing. It's not just it being fancy, but it also has a purpose in terms of like the support of one part of it or uh, the whole of it. So definitely is an interesting thing to sit and watch those shows. Which is also really interesting when watching Forged by Fire is just the fact of there are that many people that are still practicing being a smithy or a blacksmith. And I know that, those types of people usually show up at like Renaissance fairs. Um, but like anytime I see any person that specializes in metalwork, it's usually like making chandeliers or doorknobs, door hinges, custom made stuff for houses. All right. I did not forget or neglect getting these ears. So quickly do that. All right. So now that that's there, I'm going to trying to figure out what kind of whoa that's yeah, sure, don't let's mess around with some watercolors. So, like I said earlier, really love the more black and white pencil and charcoal type sketches that you would see in, uh, you know, fancy books, supplements, and stuff like that. So, just give it that same kind of treatment here. And we're going to make this as quick as possible. then we'll be throwing in some extra details here and there. So I had some fun when I was kind of looking around on Clip Studio. Um, gosh, it's probably going back a couple weeks, but I was trying to find, um, different types of brush packets and stuff like that, and I stumbled on this entire packet that revolves around watercolors and a Copic marker type set. So it's just like, oh, this is in my ballpark. And it's pretty close. Nowhere near the real thing, but it's definitely close. But I absolutely love this watercolor set because it just has that textured ability to just almost like emulate it to a degree. There's going to be obvious differences, and but I just love how it's got that you know remark, watermark, however you want to call it. Um, but the cool thing about grayscale is that it kind of gives you the opportunity to practice and understand values. And that's also going to be something that I'll be doing a lot more at conventions, which I've got, I think, two more. Definitely the one more, um, but I'll be basically going to be strictly doing um, grayscale and toned grayscale stuff, and the obvious pen and ink. As far as just like commission stuff, and it's no disrespect to any of the colored work that I've done. Um, just want to get back into doing this. And the cool part about just doing this stuff digitally is that I am able to, um, layer stuff on top of each other which is a lot easier than trying to do this analog. Two, I don't own any watercolors analog wise, but I'm about to change that hopefully in the near future. But it's very hard for me to back away from using the Copics. Just absolutely love using them. But it's a lot easier to carry, maintain, all that stuff, watercolors, that is, than the markers. And I did not forget about this. Like, it's actually going to get blacked out. So let's see here. Do that. With this. And let's see here. And this is that Copic marker brush setting I was talking about, which I had used on this right here and basically just kind of blended it in just a bit. But wanted a stronger stronger value. Because this is it's basically like using the chisel end of a Copic marker. And of course, the more you go over it, the darker it gets. So very much like using them, but still want to mess around with it just a little bit more, so I can, I guess, customize it just a bit more. Excuse me. So we are back to pencils basically, and darken this up. So as you can see, adding in values will definitely make a difference in whatever it is that you're drawing. All right. And I'm going to just quickly put in some line weight. Darken in this leather just a bit more. going to line up some stuff here and there. And let's see here. Which one was this? No. That's fine. Ah, there it is. All right. And we're going to jump this to about that much. All right. So there we have it. We've got our ageless ranger goblin with a rapier, greenskins for the wins. So yeah, that is basically how we would technically would do it. So like I said before, using this kind of idea and model, excuse me, to try to come up with, something completely out of the blue, as this one definitely was, uh, and just trying to come up with different things, leaving it to chance to see what you can come up with, and have that be your the next character for, let's say, um, the next comic that you're wanting to do, the next campaign that you're trying to create characters in, or whatever. It's a great idea. And like I said, if you ever get a chance to go on Amazon to find this book, and you want to do the more Punnett Square type way of doing it, I got this from Second and Charles for $8, and it's literally 170 something pages worth of information, and they do go super duper duper in depth if you want to go down that type of rabbit hole. But yeah, but completely different version, but similar things regarding that for this sort of thing, creating a character. And it doesn't really even have to be fancy. Let's say you're wanting to do a Western comic and you just trying to figure out a different type of character. Well, think about all the different people that exist out in the frontier West. It wasn't all just cowboys. You also had ranch hands. You also had the dude working in the general store. The town drunk. It's just any sort of thing you could possibly think of. Sci-fi, even you can go that route if you want to. But then again, if you're trying to create whole new races of aliens and stuff like that, then of course. But if you're getting to like journal specifics, like cyborgs, androids, full on robot, um, space pirates, merchants, soldiers of fortune, whatever. Like I said, uh, your mind is your own limitation. It really is when it comes to just trying to create new things. Um, so, again, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you're still creating the same stuff over and over again, this would be a great idea for you to try to expand past, whatever it is that you're currently doing. Um, and you know even if you are a person that likes to take control and reins of everything, sometimes just leaving it to chance might be the thing that's going to break you out of it. Just saying. So that being said, this is a shorter video than I was expecting to be. I was half expecting to go into this close to the 3 hour mark, but I am super fine and okay with this, especially with it being a holiday weekend. If you happen to be overseas and you're thinking those bloody Yanks and their 4th of July, well, you're absolutely right. So, um, but yes, this is definitely a different kind of reprieve from just the typical 4th of July stuff going on. If you just happen to be watching this in the future, timestamps and all that, there you have it. But yes, for those of you who are celebrating on the 4th of July, please be careful and make sure that you have all 10 fingers and toes after you get done setting off fireworks, if you happen to be that person that sets off fireworks. I will be currently not doing so. And we'll probably be doing a movie marathon. Anyways, we're going to be ending off the night doing our typical housekeeping stuff. Haven Comics is located at 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama. And if you are wanting to get into any sort of tabletop gameplay stuff with RPGs, like I said, Haven Comics does happen to have all this stuff, which is where I'm currently sitting in right now. So if you're wanting to get into Pathfinder, if you're wanting to get into Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, or you want to go a more grimdark way of fantasy, kind of like Game of Thrones, then Warhammer for Fantasy Roleplay will be definitely that for you. Not as much dice comparison to these other two. I think you only have to use 2 different dice just to play this. But like I said, Haven Comics does have these things and other tabletop roleplay stuff as well. So if you want to get into different games, like the GI Joe roleplay, or sorry, GI Joe RPG, or you wanted to play Aliens, got that. Blades in the Dark, it's a fantastic game as well, and several others. And please remember to like and subscribe. Every like, every subscription, every comment, every share definitely helps us out immensely. So we're able to beat the algorithm one show at a time, and definitely helps us out for sure. And last but not least, if you are wanting to know where you can find me on social media, you can find me through Linktree at tpriceartworks, where you can find me on general places on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the graveyard known as Twitter. Um, gosh, stuff that's been going on within the last 48 hours. Anyways, and I'm also on other places as well, Tumblr, Hive, and Mastodon. And I also have a Patreon, which I have been showing off a couple of things, what I've been doing back behind the scenes for the last couple of months as well. So if you want to get into that and see what's going on, there will be more new things posted, as well as a new print for the month of July. So if you want to get in on that and get stuff in advance, that is the place where you can find me at and support me. And last but not least, I hope that all of you have a really good night and a great start of your week. Adios.